Okay, let us proceed. We have done with question 3. Now we enter into question 4. So question 4A1 says, explain the term free store as used in OOP. Explain the term free store as used in OOP. So what does this term free store mean as used in relation to object-oriented programming? It is actually a question that comes from the topic of pointers. Pointers. So what is free store as used in object-oriented programming? Let me create a new slide here to answer this question. Come on. Does it want to hang? Okay, let me pause first of all, and then okay, it is eating up time. Okay, so that is question 4A Roman 1, if I'm not wrong. It talks about free store. So what is a free store as used in OOP? So free store refers to unallocated memory space used by a program for dynamic allocation during execution or during program execution. So it is a free store is just a memory space that has not been allocated to any variable in a program. Yeah. So it is usually dynamically allocated to maybe some variables during what? Program execution. That is what a free store means. Okay, let us proceed to 4A Roman 2. What is the question? Distinguish between a null pointer and a dangling pointer as used in OOP 4 marks. So this question still comes from pointers, types of pointers. So distinguish between a null pointer and a dangling pointer. What are they? So the question talks about null pointer and dangling. You can say dangling pointer. What are they? So a null pointer is a pointer. It is a pointer that points to nothing. Is a pointer that points to nothing. It is a pointer that points to nothing. For example, you can have a pointer of type integer. The star is used to indicate that this now is a pointer, and then assign it to 0, so it is pointing to nothing. Another way of creating the null pointer, you can say int pointer is equals to null. So there's also another mechanism to create a null pointer. So this pointer is actually pointing nothing. You know that a pointer is a variable that stores the address, the memory address of another variable. It doesn't store the value of that variable, but only the memory address or the memory location of that variable. So therefore, if a pointer has been created in a program but it is pointing to nothing, it is pointing to no variable, then it becomes a null pointer. Next is the dangling pointer or dangling dangling pointer. Okay. So it is a pointer. It is a pointer. It is a pointer pointing to a variable, pointing to a variable that pointing to a variable that has been deleted, that has been deleted. I can also say that it is a pointer pointing to a memory location that has been deleted. You know, a variable is a memory location in a program. So a memory location that has been deleted. Yeah, so we know we create memories in another program, and also we can delete the memory by deleting the variable. Okay. There is also another pointer that I can add you here, and that pointer is called a wild pointer. Wild pointer. So wild pointer is a pointer which has not been initialized to anything. A pointer which has not been initialized to anything. An example of a dangling pointer, how you can create it, you can say the pointer is void. Void means that it is pointing to nothing. Then star pointer. In is it C or C++? There is a topic where you discuss, I think in C++, where you discuss much about pointer, not pointer but void, the void data type, and the data types in C++. So there's a lot of discussion about void data type there. It is used to point to a function that is not returning nothing, and also used to point to a pointer that is pointing to a deleted or a free memory. There is a wild pointer, which is a pointer which has not been initialized to anything. A pointer which has not been initialized, to anything. A pointer which has not been initialized to anything. For example, you can have a pointer int, pointer ptr. So it has just been declared. It is just been declared, but not pointing to any, memory, So it is a wild pointer. So I have added you one. So next time maybe they will ask you the difference. So to define what a wild pointer is, or the difference between a wild and null pointer. So you never know. Let's proceed to the next question. Let me make a slide ready for the question, and then now proceed. What is the question? That is question 4b. It says outline 4 types of literals in C++ programming. Outline 4 types of literals in C++ programming. What are literals in relation to C++ programming? So let me tell you what are literals. That is question 4b. There is no Roman there, so it talks about literals in C++. So literals, before you provide the examples, literals refers to data used for representing fixed values in a program. So they are data used to represent fixed values in a program. So the topic where this question comes from is a topic called variables, literals, and constants. That is the topic where this question is coming from. So to answer now the question, the examples. of literals. Include examples of literals include okay, let me put Romans or this square. Okay, include one integers. You may think they are data types, so include integers. Include floating literals, character literals, escape sequence, and string literals. When you check on my revision on structured programming for November 2021 November, structured for module 2 certificate, structured programming for module 2 certificate, I have talked much about, in that video I talked much about the escape sequence in a program, which includes /n, and of course it normally uses the backslash/n. We also have maybe \b, we have \r, and many more. So I defined there what are escape sequences and what they normally do in a program, so that this is what knec needed from you. The next question is number 4C, which says, with the aid of a C++ oriented general syntax, explain a copy constructor as used in OOP. 4 marks. This question comes from a topic called Constructors and Destructors. So they are usually, you need to know what a constructor is, then the different types of constructors, which are usually 3, and then now answer the question, provide the syntax for copy constructor. So what is a constructor? That is question 4C. Question 4C talks about constructor and destructor. So I'll first provide a small knowledge about these things, and then we proceed to answer the question. Constructor is a special member function, having the same name as that of its class, that is the class where it belongs to. So it is a special member function in a class. So how special is it? One is that it has the same name as the class. If the class is called teacher, the function also gets a name teacher. Another thing is that this function normally don't have a return type, so you don't declare it with int, string, character, void. It doesn't have a return type. Then also it does not take arguments or parameters. If you want to know more about this one, you only need to visit my website, so that you know more about constructors or general knowledge about constructors. I'll just give you any types so that you understand where now the copy constructor comes in. Types of constructors, we have one is default constructor. We have a default constructor. Then we have parameterized parameterized constructor. Then now we have the number 3, we have the copy constructor. So not to make the video too long, you visit our site and read about default constructor, parameterized constructor, and their syntaxes and their examples in code. So just to proceed with the question, it says copy constructor. What is it? Copy constructor. So it is a constructor. A copy constructor is a constructor or a special member function in a class that creates an object by initializing it with a previously created object of the same class. That is what a copy constructor is. Actually, the general knowledge or the general reason of having constructors is to have a mechanism where we can initialize the data members of a class. You cannot create a class. I don't know if I have an example here where we have a class. You cannot create a class rectangle here, and then you cannot create a class rectangle and then within the class have the data members and initialize these data members and say that L is equals to 2 or L is equals to 7. The program will give you an error. So you cannot initialize the members, especially the data members of a class. So a constructor now comes in to break this rule, and that is why we say it is a special function and it is a special member function of the class, so it must be declared within the class. So we'll more about these constructors. Just go to our website and read more about them to make the video a little bit short. So now the question is the syntax of what? The syntax of copy constructor. There are usually also different types of copy constructor. A constructor, you can, to make maybe the definition short, you can also say that a copy constructor is a constructor or a special function of a class used to declare and initialize to provide an initial value, initialize an object from another object, There are usually types of copy constructors. Again, types of copy constructors. These include 1. Default copy constructor, default copy constructor, and also let me put number 2 here as user defined copy constructor, user defined copy constructor. Okay, let us now proceed to answer the question, which needs the syntax of copy constructor. I will give you the syntax and maybe an example for it. Then you will find the syntax and examples of the other default and parameterized constructor in our website. So syntax for copy constructor. constructor. Syntax for copy constructor. So to create a copy constructor, you will use the class name as the name of that function, and then give it some parameter. Let me say const, then class name, then the object. So you can create the object using the and sign here, and then the old object. Yeah, so where this is the name of the constructor, this is the name of the new object you're creating, and you're initializing it to an old object. Yeah, for example of this scenario is that you can have a class A, you can have a class called A, and you know a class has a body, and then inside the body of the class you create a constructor A, and its object A, and assign it using a $sign to a previous object, maybe C, small c. So therefore here we are creating a copy constructor, and then close the body of the class. It is a special function, so give it its body, the tasks performed by that function, and then close the class with the semicolon. So therefore you can see that this is a function, it is a special member function of this class A. It has the same name as A, but doesn't have a return type. It doesn't have something like int. If you do int, then it becomes wrong, so it does not become a constructor. Okay. Maybe to proceed with, just to give you an example of this is what knec needed actually to use using with the aid of a C++ oriented general syntax. So only 4 marks for the syntax. So you choose whether to give you can give the syntax and maybe give the example. Even if you give only this one, it is okay. Okay. Or you can say class name, then then class name, then $old object, then the copy constructor. That this is a comment. Yeah, then the body of that class. Yeah. So maybe an example in code. Maybe an example in code. So an example in code is this one. Let me zoom this code. And zoom with Control++. Okay. So of course hash include using namespace standard. So class A is our new class. Then it has public members, which are int x. Without a constructor, we cannot say that x is equals to 10 or x is equals to a. So therefore we use a constructor to initialize the value of x. So therefore this is a parameterized constructor, a constructor that has parameters in it. So the parameters inside here is int a. Then so therefore x is initialized to an a, and you know we will be passing from the main function. We can pass now a to be 20. That is now why we are initializing. Therefore if a becomes 20, x also becomes 20. Now this one is now a1, and creating another object. Then it is creating another object. This is a copy constructor. Now this is where the question you need to be keen to understand copy constructor. I think even the name copy, it is just copying. So it is a constructor, has the same name as the class. Then it is creating, it is initializing an object x using another object that already existed. Yeah, so therefore x is being initialized to I dot x. So this is now copy constructor. So when you come to the main, this is a class, then this is an object a1, an object a1 calling a function, calling the function the copy constructor. So when you read about copy constructors, we don't call them like we call other functions, like for instance a dot rectangle or a dot area or a1 dot area. No, it is called automatically when an object is created for that class. So when you read about copy constructors, you'll realize that they are usually called automatically when an object has been created. So a1, when you pass the value 20 there, so the copy constructor is called and starts functioning. So therefore it makes x to be equals to 20. Then the copy constructor is given an object a2, the class a2, then we are calling a copy constructor. So we are calling now a1 as the we are calling the other object. So we are assigning in the other object a1. So and that is why you realize that we said that it is a constructor. It is a constructor that creates an object by initializing it with the previously created object of the same class. So that is what this one means. So when you execute this, we are saying C out to print out a2 dot x, meaning that we expect it to print out again 20. So if I run this program and wait, so you realize that it has printed 20 here. So that is how copy constructor works. If you need a personalized either online online class, so that we teach you more about constructors, all the constructors online, then you can just contact me through that number. We organize for an online Zoom class. If you want to attend my physical class, also you can call me, then we arrange for physical class so that you get to understand this topic well, the topic called constructors in object-oriented programming. So I can take the whole of this code and put it in maybe here. This was the syntax, and then maybe example. Okay, let me do away with this, and then give this an example in code, and then I do this. Yeah, so when you get this slide, you will zoom and see everything well. Okay, let us proceed to question 4D. Question 4D says, write a C++ program. Guys, if you need special class about writing C++ program and dealing with these programs, just call me. I can arrange for an online class, and we can also arrange for a physical class in town CBD. For those who are in Nairobi, you can easily get physical classes. Some people like physical classes than online class. Let us proceed. So this says, write a C++ program that implements a class with the following properties. Write a C++ program that implements a class with the following properties. 1. Data members as A, B, and C, that is principal amount, interest rate, and number of years respectively, that are initialized as 10,000, 0.2, and 4. Then a member function for calculating and outputting the interest on the principal amount. Then use a constructor. So this question still needs you to know how to use a constructor. Guys, if you're not you don't have a good understanding of what constructors are, visit our website. Otherwise, call me. We organize for a special class. You might be in college or university, but you normally don't understand these things. We can do it slowly by slowly until you get to understand them. So just call me through this number, send me an email, and also visit our website. Okay. So let us proceed. Okay, so our code is here. So we have been told to write a C+ program that implements a class. We have not been given any class name, so you choose our name. So our name is find interest. So class find interest. The class has a body, starts from here to here. This is the body of the class. Now the class has the following properties: data members as A, B, and C. So our data members, we have made them to be public. This is an access specifier. So int A, which is 10,000, we've been told is 10,000. Float B, which is 0.2, so it is a decimal. Then int C, which is time, yeah, and then interest. See, we can get interest maybe in form of float or integer. Then now we have been asked to use a constructor. Principal A, B, and C as principal, interest rate, and number of years, which is time, respectively, as these ones. So these values come at the end of the program, that is inside the main, when we are now passing them as values to the parameters of the parameterized constructor that we are going to use. So we have a constructor which is find interest, and we have given it parameters P, principal, R, rate, and T for time. And now, since the work of a constructor, this is a parameterized constructor, so the work of a constructor is to initialize the objects. So we are initializing the object A to become P, B to become rate, and C to become time. We are initializing this way because we are going to pass P, R, and T is 10,000, 0.2, and 4. We can only pass them to the function when we are at the main. So therefore, then we'll have another function. This is a normal function. You can see this function or this constructor does not have a return type, does not have void, does not have int, string, float doesn't have. So it is a special function. It has the same name as the class. So it is a constructor, and it is parameterized constructor because it has parameters in here. A default constructor does not have parameters in here. Okay. Then from there we have a function called calculate, which is a has a return type void. Its work is to return to calculate interest as A times B and C, and then to print out the value of interest, as we can say here that the interest is, then some space, then we do this and say the interest is interest. So the interest is interest. The interest now being calculated. We don't put this referencing, so we don't put it in quotation marks. Then we create the main function after the end of the class. We create an object F for the class find interest, and we assign that object to be, since we have parameters to pass to the parameterized function, we will call this function here by its name and then pass these parameters here, but we don't call it as f.findInterest. Then finally, the normal function, which is not a constructor, is the one which we can call as f.calculate, but we cannot call a constructor as f.findInterest. No, we just say findInterest f. Then if there could have been no parameters, then we could not have this section from here. We just have the semicolon after the object f. Since a constructor is usually called by default immediately an object for the class has been created, so we don't need to call it as f.findInterest. I hope you have understood that one. So that is the program that knec needed to 7 marks. It is a little bit long, so if you need to understand more about writing codes on constructors, how to use constructors in a program, then don't hesitate to call me so that we arrange either for a virtual class or a physical class. Okay, if you have good internet, we can even use this application called TeamViewer. This one, TeamViewer. With this application, I can be coding in your laptop from your house. When I am in my house, so I'm in my house, I access your laptop which is in your house online. Then I code from your laptop using my laptop. So that is the goodness of TeamViewer. So just call me for a virtual class we arrange. Okay, so let me put this code in the PowerPoint. It will not fit there, but it will be very small. It looks so small. So that is question. We had talked about this is a constructor. So with a new slide for question note 4D, if I'm not wrong. Question 4D is a program with the constructor. So now let me just paste this code in here, even I know it will be so tiny. So you can enlarge it when you get the slide. You just zoom your screen, you will see the code well. Okay. We proceed to question 5. Okay, we proceed with question 5A. Outline 3 situations when there is need to initialize an object using object-oriented programming. So 3 situations when there is need to initialize an object. So what is initialization? What is initialization? What is initialization? Initialization. Oh, this is question 5A. 5A, no Roman, so it talks about initialization of object. But what is initialization? Initialization refers to the assignment, or refers to assigning of an initial value. You're assigning an initial value for a data object, and also sometimes we normally initialize variables for a variable. That is initializations. So to answer the question, situations or circumstance when to initialize an object. When to initialize an object. One is the need, the need to assign or pass a value to an object at design time or during runtime, during programming, during coding. So you can pass a value. They need to make an object constant, or when you need to make an object to be constant. A constant is a value that does not change in a program. Also, when using constructors, because the main function work of constructors is to initialize values, initialize objects in an application. So there's some of the three reasons where that can make us initialize objects in a program. Okay, the next question, 5b, if I'm not wrong. 5b, explain the following terms as used in OOP. 1 is destructor and 2 is reference. This question comes, destructor is something that comes from a topic called constructors and destructors. Reference comes from a topic called pointers again, where in pointers we have reference and we have dereferencing. I think we had discussed what dereferencing is. Okay, 5b, then we have 1 and 2, so 5b. Let me say 5b Roman 1, which talks about destructor, if I'm not wrong. Destructor. Okay, a destructor is just like a constructor is a special member function. A destructor is also a special member function. So it is a class member function. It is a class member function that removes or used to destroy, just to destruct, to destroy an object, especially at a project, an object that had been created using a constructor, an object created by a constructor, an object created by a constructor. That is what a destructor is. Maybe just to give you some more insights, is that it also, just like a constructor, it also has the same name. It has the same name as the constructor. It does not have return type. It is a member function, so it does not have a return type. That is int, void, and it doesn't have. We created it using. It is created using a tilde sign. The tilde sign is on your keyboard. It is that sign before the 1, the key 1, or below escape on the keyboard. I don't know if I can get my on-screen keyboard to show you. On screen. Okay, it is just delaying, so you will you can check on your screen the button below escape, or the button on top of tab key, or the button before number 1, 1, 2, 3. So the button before number 1 is a tilde. When you shift that button, then that button, you get that one. So that is what we refer to as a tilde. That symbol is what we call a tilde. So example, maybe the syntax for creating a destructor. You can have so you start with the tilde, then followed by the class name, because it has the same name as the class name. It is a function, so it is a special function. It has a body, so that is a syntax. This syntax applies when you are creating these inside the class. There is syntax for creating destructor inside the class. But you can also create a destructor when you're outside the class. Let me do this. So when you're outside the class, you will use this syntax. We say you'll have the class name, then followed by the scope resolution operator. That is the double full colon scope. It is called a scope resolution operator. Then is a tilde, followed by the class name again, because the destructor has the same name as the class. Of course, it has its body since it is a function. So that is the syntax for declaring or creating the destructor outside the class. Yeah, the question was just 2 marks, so let me not do a lot for you. If you need more about destructors, you call me. Then let us proceed to question. We have some still on 5b Roman 1 and 5b Roman 2. There is a reference. Okay, so we need to talk about reference here. 5b, but Roman 2 it talks about reference. Reference is used in OOP. So the word reference is just like what you guys normally call aka. Maybe your name is Boniface, but you call yourself aka Boni. So therefore reference refers to another name, of a variable, not of a variable, the word variable, but of an existing variable that has been declared. So let me say of an existing declared variable. That is what we refer to as the reference. Some people will tell you that it is an alias of a variable. Alias means aka, so it is another name for a variable. You can also say, there's a lot of English, you can say that it is an alternative name for an existing variable. So you declare a variable in a program and then you give it give it another name. Let us see an example. You may have a variable int c and assign it to be equals to 10. It is not the whole code, just a snippet of the code. Then create an int reference. We create a reference using the $sign. So let me just add here that use the $sign before the reference name. So we can create int $. So $reference. So it is not a pointer, but it is a reference. So int $reference is equals to c. So therefore, if I can put a comment here, this is ref is, or let me say r, yeah, is equals to c. Okay, so therefore if I have a comment here, then r becomes the reference, or an alternative becomes the alternative name of variable c. So that is what means. So if you need to, maybe if you can output, if you happen to output r, then you will get a 10 again, since r is just the same as c. Okay, let us proceed. Question 5c says differentiate between multi-level and multiple level inheritance and multiple inheritance as used in OOP 4 marks. So this question comes from a topic called inheritance. A topic called inheritance. So then what is, you need to be able to know what is inheritance, what are the different types of inheritance that exist, and then now that is when you can differentiate between multi-level inheritance and multiple inheritance. So that is 5C Roman 1. 5C Roman 1. So question 5C Roman 1 talks about what? Inheritance. What is inheritance? Before we answer the question by differentiating between the two types of inheritance. So inheritance refers to ability of a class to implement or rather to access and implement the members, of another class, So you know, when you have a program and it has many classes, one class cannot access members of another class. So in short, I'm meaning that the variables declared in one class cannot be accessed by the variables in another class. So therefore, unless they have been designated to be inheritance in there. So that is what that one means. So some few terms that you need to understand about inheritance is that there is a subclass which is also called the parent class. Is it sub or super? Let me start with the superclass, which can also be called as the parent class, and it can also be called a base class. I think this is the common name, the base class. But what is it? It is the class whose members are accessed, whose members are being inherited, or whose properties, you can use the word properties, whose properties here means the data members and member functions, so whose properties are inherited. Then we have then something that is superclass, then the opposite is subclass. So we can have a subclass, parent class, the opposite is child class, and derived base class, the opposite is derived class. So, and what is this? So it is a class that is inheriting properties of another class, There are usually reasons and advantages and disadvantages of inheritance, so you can make up a class with me so that we discuss them, the advantages and disadvantages of inheritance, and also in deep discuss about what is this inheritance, discuss things like function overriding. Okay. There are usually types of inheritance. I'll just highlight them. One is single inheritance. Two is multiple inheritance. And three is multi-level inheritance. And maybe four is hierarchical inheritance. And also we normally have 5 hybrid inheritance. So if you need to understand all these inheritance in a broader way, just hit me up on the number there, so that you get organized for a class, so that you understand what these things are. Okay. Now the question needs you to differentiate between multiple and multi-level. So let me proceed to now answer the question here. Multiple, the question talks about multiple and multi-level. The difference: multi-level inheritance, multi-level inheritance. So I think I will just start with multiple inheritance and say that it is an inheritance where a derived class, it is a type of inheritance where a derived class is inherited from another derived class, or you can say that a derived class becomes a subclass of another derived class. That is what this one means. Maybe just to draw something small to represent this one. So I can have this, let me hope it will work very fast. Insert shape. I will have this shape here. So this one, and then I will copy it and then paste twice, so that now I have this one here. Okay, so therefore if this becomes I don't know if can I type in there, add text. Edit text, so I need an A there, and then I need also need to edit text. I need a B here, and I need a C here. Then let me make it and then increase maybe the size. That is enough. And then we need an arrow. I'll use a very short arrow, so I have this arrow here. Make it shape outline, make it black, and shape outline, the weight of the outline, increase it, yeah, and then copy and paste, and then carry this on here. Okay, yeah. So therefore in this scenario, A is a derived class, A is a subclass, this is a subclass, then this one is a derived class, and then B becomes since it is B is a derived class, it becomes a subclass for C, since C is deriving from B. C is not deriving directly from A. Yeah. Maybe a syntax to show this. I will put a syntax here. Okay, and then edit text here, and then I will say that class, we have a class A, which has got its members end of the class. Then we have a class class B that inherits maybe public. It inherits public public A. It has its members, or it has its body. Then finally we have a class C. We have a class C, which inherits, if I use the full colon to show inheritance, which inherits public public B, and this class also has its what? Its body. So therefore this is now what? Inheritance. Here is all about, yeah. So this is the syntax for multiple inheritance, but they need a difference. A derived class is inherited from another derived class. This is a derived class this is a derived class being inherited from another derived class. That is what makes it this one multi-level inheritance. Okay, let us proceed to this is not multiple, but sorry, I'm very sorry, this is multi-level, from one level to another, from one level to another. So it is supposed to be multi-level. Kindly, I'm sorry there. Multi-level inheritance, from one level to another to another. So it is like your the grandfather, your dad, from your dad to you, then your child, then your child, your grandchild. So like that one, multi-level. This, remember, this is not hierarchical. This is not hierarchical. If you want to know hierarchical inheritance, then you can do some research or organize for a session with me. Okay, this is multi-level inheritance. And let me proceed to have multiple inheritance now. To have multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance. Okay. Multiple inheritance is where a derived class inherits from more than one base class. So we have a derived class. It is an inheritance where a derived class inherits properties of more than one base class. More than one base class. So it inherits from 2 classes or 3 classes or 4 base classes. So an example in diagram form, I can do this. I can have this shape. Let me use this triangle right now. This rectangle right now. So I can have this. I want to copy it and then paste it and then paste again. So I can have 2 base classes, and then I have a derived class. So then I'll have the arrow from here to here. Okay. And then the same arrow here to here. There also, this can be class A. This can be class A. And this can be class B. This can be class B. And then this could be class This could be class C. This could be class C. Okay, so therefore class C here is the one which is derived class. Class C is the derived class. A and B are base classes. A and B are base classes, then this one a derived class. So therefore this is multiple inheritance. A derived class is inheriting from multiple base classes. So maybe the syntax for this one, the syntax for this, if I can have it here, so you can have a class, you can have a class A being a base class, so it has its body, then you can have a class B also having its own body, and then finally having class C inheriting public members of inheriting public A, and also inheriting public B. So therefore that becomes what? Inheritance, multiple inheritance. Yeah. Okay, let me put here shape fill. Format this text and blocks and fill it with some color. I think okay, yeah. Okay, let us proceed to the next question. That was about multiple inheritance and multi-level inheritance. The next question says, define the term static object as used in OOP. Define the term static object as used in OOP. So what is the static object? 2 marks. So that is 5C Roman 2. 5C Roman 2, 5C Roman 2, 5C Roman 2. 5C Roman 2, it talks about static object. So what is the static object? So this is an object. This is an object that stays the same. It stays the same throughout the program. So it is declared with the keyword. It is usually declared with the keyword static. Declared with the keyword static. Yeah. Maybe syntax. We normally create objects when we are in the main function, so I'll just give you the main part of it. So main, int main, let's say so you can have a static base B. So in this scenario, static is the keyword to make the object B of a class base to be static. Yeah, so therefore that is just and of course you can use even the object B to access a function. Func for function, so to call any other function that is available there. So this is the main part. We are creating a static object B. Okay, finally we go to 5C D, it says write a C++ program that will implement a class named reflection whose objects A 2, 4, B 2, 7 and C 8, 4 are reflected along the y-axis by negating the x coordinates using an overloaded operator. So this is an overloaded operator. The program should display the coordinates of the resultant image. The program should display the coordinates of the resultant image. Okay, so the question says describe, that is 6a, describe the following data types as used in OOP. So you know OOP has different data types. It has built-in data types, simple data types and user-defined data types. So therefore enumerated classes and enumerated structure, these are user-defined data types, or a group of user-defined data types. So we're going to define what is enumerated and also define what is a nested class, and maybe give you example. So new slide, that is 6a Roman 1. So 6a Roman 1 is all about enumerated data type. Sometimes we normally refer to it as enum, and the process is called enumeration. Okay. So enumeration or enumerated data type, it is a user-defined data type. It is a user-defined data type that can be assigned, some limited range of values, some limited range of values called elements. So just as an array, it is also user-defined data type that can store multiple values called elements. So we have the syntax of creating can give you the syntax of creating an enumeration. You use the keyword enum. Then the data type, the type name, or the enum type name, or the data name, or data type name, and then it has a body containing many different values. So say those are values coming in there, and then now the end of the body. It could contain let me say value 1 can contain value 1, value 2, value 2, value 3 as a list, value 3, and so therefore you may think that it is a class, so it does not end with a semicolon. So use the keyword enum and then the data type name of the variable, or the variable name. Okay, maybe example, we can have enum gender, or enum let me use what okay, enum gender, then the body contains male, and also female, and then the end of what? The end of the enum. So that is an example, just a short example. So it is a user-defined data type that stores a limited value, a limited range of values. Yeah. Okay. Let me proceed to the next one. Is what we had enum, and then we have nested. We have got nested class. We have got nested class. Nested class. Nested class. What is it? What is nested class? So we'll create a new slide. 6a Roman 2. It talks about nested class. Nested class is just like what you learned in structure programming. Nested if statement, that is a class inside a class. So this, it is a class, a class declared or defined inside another class, inside another class. That is a nested class. So for example, here I think I'll just give a short code about this. I'll not start with the int main, but I'll just do it. I can have a class, main class. Let me call it the main class. Of course, you know that a class has a body. The class has a body. So my class has this body. It ends there. So what happens in relation to nested class? We may have maybe some private member here. Let me say a private member like int x. Yeah, and then now now the nested class, the new class becomes also again the member of the main class. So it is a class inside another class. So I will call it a class nested. So it is a class nested. So it is also another. So it is a class inside a class. It has its body. It has got its body. So the its body ends with a semicolon. It might have even. It will have maybe its member. It can have a member. It can be a member function or a data member. So maybe you can say maybe int y. Yeah. So therefore this is just a small representation of a class inside a class. So class, main class. So inside this class, main class, then there is another class called what? Nested. So that is what that means. So it is a class declared inside another class. Okay, that is 6a. 6b Roman 1. State for bitwise operators used in a C++ programming. State for bitwise operators used in bitwise programming. What are operators and what are bitwise operators? Operators are just symbols used to perform specific tasks in a program. We have arithmetic operators like plus. We have got logical operators. We have got bitwise operators. We have got comparison operators. So let us proceed and answer this question. The question comes from a topic called operators in C++. So that is 6b Roman 1. So 6b Roman 1, 6b Roman 1, 6b Roman 1 talks about what? Bitwise operators. Bitwise operators. So what are they? They are operators. They are operators or just signs or symbols. They are operators that perform operations operations on integer data at the individual bit level, so they do operations on integer values but at individual bit level, so bit by bit, that is zeros and ones. So they convert a number like 6 or 9 into zeros and ones. So examples of these bitwise operators, we have the AND, so we call it the AND operator. We have the OR, so that is the shift pipe, that is the OR operator. Okay, we have the some people say greater than, but it is an XOR operator. Those university, they learn these things under structures and algorithm. We have this tilde, this one, which is a complement operator. The complement operator. We have like double, you may say double greater, which is a shift left operator. And lastly I have this one, which is shift right operator. The shift right operator. So these are the bitwise operators available. Maybe just a small example here. Let me add let me insert a text box and draw a text box here. Oh, come on, need a text box. Insert text box. Okay, let me insert another shape, the rectangle here, and then edit text, add text. Okay, the shape field to be okay, let me turn that way. So you know that if you have I'll not write the whole program. If you have the text color to be text field, text outline, text field to be black, yeah. So if I have int a being equals to 12 and b being equals to 13, not the whole program, just a small thing, and there's a difference between cout there's a difference between cout a plus b and cout a and b, a and b. Yeah, so maybe that is the end of the code. The output will be for a plus b, the output is 13 plus 12, which is 25, but for the other one we get maybe a 3, we get a 3, yeah. So that is a bitwise operator. Let us do something in here in Falcon and see. So let me do this. So we can have int a being equals to 12 and int b being equals to b being equals to 13, then cout a plus b end line, and then cout A and B end line. Let us see. Let me run. It is run and wait. Invalid operands of type int and unresolved overloaded function type to binary operator. So it is acknowledging that this is a binary operator. So what if I put a bracket? Can it help solve that problem, so that it knows that this is an operation to be tackled? Let me see. We are waiting. Blah 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 blah. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Response is taking too long to come. Response is taking too long to come. Or this response won't come. Let me close and run again. See out A and B. Yeah. So the result of A plus B is 25, and the result of A and B is 12. Let us see. Let us change this 12 to 22. Okay, and then run. You can see the result of 12 plus 22 plus 13 is 35. Let me zoom. Is that the result is 35, and then the result of 22 plus and 13 is so interesting. 4. Let me make this one 7. So the result of 7 plus 13 is 20, but the result of 7 and 13 is 5. That is bitwise operator. So that is what it means. So I can even give you this as an example code. That is copy this code and give it to you here. It's just the same thing. Instead of having this, you can have that one. Okay. Okay. So at least we've known what bitwise operators are and how they work. What is happening to my screen? Okay, my screen is going black. Okay, that was bitwise operators. The next question says overloading is a type of polymorphism in OOP. Justify this statement with respect to addition operator. So therefore, this question needs you to state what overloading is, and then give an example of overloading using a type of overloading called addition operator overloading. Under overloading we normally have a type of polymorphism called compile time polymorphism. We have function overloading and also operator overloading as the two main types or examples of compile time polymorphism. So what is overloading? The available types of overloading, which is function overloading and operator overloading, and then now we use the addition operator to explain how to answer this question. So this question is about polymorphism. That is question 6b Roman 2. Question 6b Roman 2. So question 6b Roman 2 is about polymorphism. So you guys, know that polymorphism. refers to an entity having multiple forms in a program. Sound. Let me put this one here. Okay, so that can get the sound. Okay. So okay. We normally have types of polymorphism. We will not go deep into them. Polymorphism. We have compile time. Just giving you a history of where the question is coming from. So we have compile time polymorphism, and we have runtime. Polymorphism. It is a long word. Runtime polymorphism. Under compile time polymorphism, I will not tell you what it is. Under compile time for polymorphism, we have got function overloading. We have got function overloading and operator overloading under runtime polymorphism. We have got function overriding. We have got something called, you'll meet some papers asking you to differentiate between function overloading and function overriding. Okay, now going to the question, operator overloading simply refers to making an operator to perform a task it is not logically meant for. A task which it is not meant for. Like for instance, they're telling us to show this using the addition operator, the plus. That is the addition operator. So you can the addition operator can do summation of integers, and we can overload it with another task, which is concatenation of string. And still it can also do another task, which can be maybe addition of objects, or addition of class objects. So yeah, in our example we're going to do it using both to see how it is going to do summation and concatenation of a string. So therefore we'll put our example down here. Okay, so I think the question was very short, so we cannot do the whole program. So what we'll just do is maybe have an int main, okay, and say that we have int a is equals to 10, b is equals to 20. Then we have a string first name is equals to Kevin or Michael. First name is equals to Mike in quotation, is equals to Mike, and second name is equals to Buibo, equals to Buibo. Okay, so therefore we use a plus sign. First of all, we can see out the sum of A and B is close bracket A plus B end line. So here we are doing an addition. The first task given to the plus operator or the addition operator is to do addition or summation. Then here in C out, your full name is F name plus S name. So this one is going to output the two names being concatenated together, end line. So that is it. So that's the end of the main body. Then yeah, you only need the hash include and the other things up there. What do you want me to say? We want us to test it. Let me finish it. Let me do hash include iostream using namespace std. Yeah, that is the entire program. So if I come and copy this one and put it in Falcon, I hope I don't have an error. I think I have an error here with capital R, and if there is another error, will be shown. So let us wait for it to run. It is compiling. I have been told that there is an error here in line 6. Stray 223 in the program. So string fname is equals to Mike. Fname is equals to Mike. Maybe it doesn't need a string, but let me just separate this one to see if it will accept string. Sometimes C++ need you to do string as character, as a string of characters. So let me just separate them and see if it is going to accept. If it doesn't accept it, it is complaining about 6 and 7. So what we're gonna do is use character. So we'll say character fname, and also character stem, and I think it will still complain that it needs to have how many characters are they supposed to be. So I can say 10 characters for first name, and again 10 characters for second name. So and then run again. Character fname, character fname 10 is equals to Mike. Character sname 10 is equals to Buibo. Why is it lamenting again? Why is it lamenting? Why is it lamenting? Character fname 10 Mike. Okay. Why is it lamenting using namespace? Okay, I think there's an error here. It is supposed to be a small u. I think that it could be also a reason why you're having that. Int main. I think there is another error somewhere that I'm not able to see. Character fname and character sname. Character fname 10 characters. Does this one have give me any error? On line 8, see how the sum of these is A plus B, and line 8 straight slash T23. It could be the problem here. S name was not declared, so let me now change this one to string. Let me see if it will accept. String fname is equals to, I think that is what the quotation mark was bringing the problem, Mike, and sname is equals to Weibo. Okay, let us run that one and see. I think it is now accepting. So the quotation marks from the PowerPoint was the one bringing problems. So let us see the output. Okay, so you see the output says the sum of A and B is 30, and your full name is Mike Weibo being concatenated together. So therefore this means that we have overloaded that operator to do, so that it do multiple tasks. One is addition and another one is concatenation. So that is it. So this is how the code is supposed to be when we are okay, that was I think question 6b Roman 2. Now we proceed to question 6c. It says that Prince has been advised to exploit inheritance. I think there is a question where we were differentiating between multi-level inheritance and multiple inheritance. That is question 6c. Still here also 5c. Now in 6c we are still doing the same about inheritance. So Prince has been advised to exploit inheritance when designing an OOP project. Outline for benefits of inheritance that could have influenced the advice. So the question is just about you highlighting the importance or advantages of inheritance. So we just go straight to answer this question, because we had already told you in question 5 what is inheritance. Under question 5 we told you that inheritance refers to the ability of a class to access and implement the members of another class, and we had different types of inheritance listed for you as hierarchical, multi-level, hybrid, multiple, and single inheritance. And we went further to answer the question about the difference between multiple and multi-level inheritance. So therefore we are now going to proceed to answer that question, which is seeking you to give the advantages of inheritance. So that is question 6c. Talks about advantages. We'll add you some disadvantages of inheritance. Advantages and disadvantages of inheritance. Okay. So one of the advantages of inheritance is that it makes code reusable. It makes code reusable in a program. So that means that the code that you had created in a subclass can be reused in a the code that you had created in the base class can be reused in a derived class, and it also reduces code duplication. It reduces code duplication. So if you have maybe two derived classes, they can implement what the superclass will implemented. So you don't like, for instance, the variables which were declared in the base class, or the members which were declared in the base class, can be reused in derived classes. So therefore there is no need for redefining them in the base classes. Another thing is that it reduces the program coding time. So since there is it reduces program development time or coding time, and also it provides enhanced code readability. So it is easy to read the code since it is structured into classes, and one class is inheriting from another one, and then easy debugging of code. It provides easy debugging, that is getting errors and fixing them, debugging of code. So you only go to the program is not working, you go for the class that is supposed to be doing that functionality that is not working well. So what about the disadvantages? I cannot give you many disadvantages compared to advantages. It means that inheritance will not be there. So one of the disadvantages is that modification in parent, if there is a modification in parent class, modification in parent class can lead to errors in derived class, because maybe if you had maybe declared in a base class that we are having a members of type integer, and so the derived classes are assuming that everything is going to be integer. So if you happen to change and make it float or double or string, then it will get errors. And then a complex inheritance, that is we may have inheritance. So complex inheritance leads to slower program. So your end project or your end software becomes very slow, because or maybe the final functionality depends on the functionality defined in a main class, another class. So therefore making the software to be very slow. So those are the disadvantages that I can provide to you. Question 6D says that write a C++ program that will open a file named my file on drive F for output. Capture an error if the file is not open. Then the program should then output the string polymorphism and inheritance to the file and close it. So therefore this question comes from a topic called file handling in C++. So therefore let us use this to write the program. We write the program inside the Falcon. So so hash include using namespace int main. So we will not have, we're not going to have a class. So what you're going to have is the main function. So therefore I'll create a character, the statement that is going to be displayed. Character statement that is going to be displayed. So we can say that it is going to be of all the 50 characters, not more than that. And the statement is polymorphism, and what? And inheritance. That is the statement that they need us to output. Semicolon. So we use a function called offstream. If you want to understand more about these functions that are used in C++ for handling files, since the topic is called file handling in C++, we have ifstream, fstream, and offstream. So just book for my class, and then I will take you through keenly and very slowly until you understand this concept. Sometimes it is usually a very hard concept, and sometimes even our lecturers normally skip it in TVETs. So offstream. We will create an object called offstream is a class, so I will create an object called fout. That's just a name of a class. You can use any word. So we'll create a class called fout, and we've been told that we're going to output to access a file that is inside drive F. So you do that way, full colon, then a slash, and then you give the name of the file. The name you've been told that it's going to be f. So fout is my object name. So maybe out for output. Yeah. Or I can say fopen. Yeah, it is an object. So fopen, that is file open. So we are going to open my file. The file is of text type, so .text. Then from there, since it is okay, it is a class, then we will have been asked to provide an error if this file is not found. So if not is an exclamation mark. If not, fopen. If not open, you know that an if statement has a body. So if not open, then provide an error. Cout, provide an error. You can say error is exclamation mark. No such file. No such file found. No such file found. Okay, end line. So that is an error message to be provided if the file is not found. Else means that the file is found. So you write there. So fopen. We use this to now write fopen this statement. Open this statement. Open this statement, which is a polymorphism and blah blah blah. Okay, I hope I'm using the same spelling. Then finally we will close. The program needs to close. So fopen dot close. It is a function for closing the file that was opened for writing, and then that is then from there I go to return 0, of course. Return 0. Let me see. Okay. And see variable std offstream fopen has initializer but incomplete type. So we can add here a hash include. We can add here hash include fstream. Can add even it is very important to have this there. Hash include fstream. Okay. It is compiling. I don't have such a file, so I expect an error. The error message, that is what I expect. So you can see we have an error message. Oh, I wrote error. So error, no such file found. But if I could be having a file, is there any need of me creating a file? No, just know the code. We need to shorten the video hours. Okay, so that is what the exam needed, or the question needed. You write a program that open a file. So where are we opening the file from? So we are using the offstream class with an object called fopen to open a file called my file, which we are expecting that it is inside a disk called f. Even my computer doesn't have that disk. My disk is disk D. Okay, then open, and then it is supposed to write there polymorphism and inheritance. So how do you write? This is how you write that. You write fopen the object of the of stream, and then you write the statement which was declared here as polymorphism on the inheritance, declared as statement and initialized or assigned a value of polymorphism and the inheritance. That is it. So okay. So that is the end of question 6. Okay, now after 6 we go to 8 now, or to 7. 7a. Outline 4 values of type open mode used in C++ file operation. This question is just still picking from where we stopped in question 6D. So it actually file operation and file handling in using C++ is a big topic. So we can you can contact me so that I take you through this topic slowly by slowly, so that you can get to have a greater knowledge of what this topic is and some of the questions, and we can even take you through a series of questions that NEC has asked from maybe 2011 and 12 and 13 and 14 and 15 and 16. Actually, we can choose a series of past papers and only select questions that are from file and file handling. Okay. So outline 4 values of type open mode used in C++ file operations. So where does this one come from? This one comes from the syntax of the syntax followed when you are opening a file using the C++ file handling classes. So it is 4 marks. So I'll just proceed to maybe give you a small insight about it, and then so that is question now 7a. That is question 7a. Oh, my microphone is far. Okay, question 7a. Yeah. Okay, I think now the voice is coming out clearly. So it is, this topic is still about file handling in C++, and specifically it is talking about the open mode values. So what does this mean, or what is it? So there is a function for opening files, for reading or for writing. It is called an if stream. Function. This function normally have this syntax. You have an if stream. Okay, the syntax for this function is that you can have the keyword if stream, if stream, then you create an object for it. Maybe I can create, say, an object h, yeah, an object h. An object h. Then we can say now h dot open. This is not answering the question, just giving you the flow so that you can get where this thing is. So you say when you want to open the file, you say the file name, and then the open mode. That is now where the question is coming from, the open mode. So this file name is just the name of the file that you want to open, and then open mode is now how do you want to open it. Do you want to open it for reading? Do you want to open it to output on it or write on it? Do you want to open it for maybe to append some values at the end of the file? So the available open mode, now here we are answering the question. The available open modes are as follows. One, we have in, just the way it is in, then I will explain. It opens, the file. It opens the file to read. So it is a C++ open mode mechanism for opening a file to read. 2 is out. There is no capitalization. It is just this program PowerPoint that is putting capital, but it is there are small letter things. Yeah, they are just small letters. Okay, so this one out opens the file to write. So it opens the file to write. They are already for writing. So you open an existing file and then you write on it. Okay, we have binary. Which opens the file in binary mode. So it opens file in binary mode. It opens file in binary mode. Then we have number 4. We have up for append. Up. So opens the file and appends all the outputs at the end of it. So opens a file and appends the output at the end of that file. Okay, other than that, at the end, so other than that, we have one called ate. So it is referred to as at the end. So open files. So it opens file. It opens file and moves the control. But knec did not want all this explanation. It just needed you to highlight in, out, binary, up, ate. Yeah, just making you understand what they are, but you may not even be understanding, so you just have to hit me up so that I explain these things from the beginning, from the introduction of what files are, how C++ normally handles files that have been stored in your computer, how they can be opened using C++. Yeah, at the end of the file. Yeah, there are many other. I will not explain them. We have the trunk, we have the no create, we have the no replace. Yeah, the no replace. So to answer that question, we just to say in, out, binary, up, ate, trunk, no create, no replace. Yeah, so you may not be getting what it is very well. Sometimes it is difficult for people to cover this topic well, but if you can hit me up and we organize either for physical or online class. For physical class, you'll have to come to the CBD at Roma House. We'll give you direction. Just call me. My number is here. 0725327856. When you call, you introduce yourself. Okay. Next is that was 7a. Next is 7b. Explain the term default constructor as used in C++ program. This question comes from Constructors. I think we had handled constructors when in question 4D. In question 4D, so I will if they had not defined default constructor, I will append it there. So in question 4D, type casting, question 2, question 3, question 4B, 4C, constructor and destructor. And we defined what a constructor is, that a constructor is a special member function having the same name as that of a class. And then I say that there are different types of classes: default constructor, parameterized, and copy constructor. So we'll answer that question from here. We say that a default constructor is a constructor is a constructor that has no parameters. Yeah, that has no parameters, while the parameterized constructor is a constructor that has parameters. You know, parameters are the data types normally declared inside the bracket of inside the brackets of or sometimes we call them arguments. Okay, so that is what a default constructor is. If you want to have examples, and you hit me up, visit our website, MB's College. I have structured them very well there. Constructors, types of constructors with their syntaxes, examples of them being used in C++. If you do that on here, we will make the video good for the whole day. Okay. Oh, that is 24 hours. You cannot watch my videos for 24 hours. I will be making it at least 2 hours because we are explaining more things here. Okay, we have answered that question. That is 7b from here, from question 4c. Okay, we will proceed to now question 7c Roman 1. With the aid of general syntax, explain inheritance as used in OOP. So this also needs just this general syntax of inheritance. We have done inheritance in question 5c. Inheritance, and you know that we now know that inheritance refers to the ability of a class to access and implement the members of another class. There is usually a subclass and a derived class, or a base class and a derived class. There are types of inheritance, and then these derived class, and so the general syntax of I will fix here the general syntax of inheritance after. Yeah, so I'll fix here general syntax of inheritance. General syntax of inheritance, and I think they need some explanations. So the general syntax of inheritance, you will have a class, then the subclass or the base class name, this class, then the colon shows the inheritance, so class, a class subclass, so a class derived class, inherits maybe, then you provide the access specifier, like for instance public or private, then the class name, the base class name. Of course, it will have its body. So that is the end of the syntax of declaration. So explanation, being explained, where derived class, the word, first of all, the word class here is the keyword used to declare a class, then derived class name is the name of the class, that is inheriting properties of another class. Then we have this sign, I put it into bracket, the full colon. The full colon is a symbol for the word inherits. Yeah, and so we read it as class derived class inherits, then access specifier or specifies the type, or not the type, or but the mode of inheritance as either as public, private, or protected. Yeah. Then finally the base class name. The base class name is the name of the class whose properties, properties here means the member functions, or the member functions and the data members whose properties are being inherited. Yeah, so that is the explanation of the general syntax. Okay, I think we have answered that question from that section. Then next is which question is next? So the next question is 7012, differentiate between extension and limitation as forms of inheritance used in OOP. I will still answer this question from there. Different between extension and limitation as forms of inheritance. So let me add the I think we should do it after answering this one. This static object, you can do it from here after answering that fully the whole question of 5C. I will append it here. So the difference between extension and limitation. So extension. So this one is answering question 7012, which is about extension and limitation. Forms of inheritance. Yeah. And then I will explain that extension refers to a form. It refers to a derived class. Refers to where a derived class adds new methods, functionalities, and new methods, and it defines the inherited ones as well. I can say new methods, new functions. You can say new functions, and redefines the inherited ones as well. So it is extending what it inherited from the base class. Then limitation refers to where a derived class restricts the inherited behavior. Behavior means methods, functions. Yeah, restricts the inherited behavior. Other forms of inheritance that you can check on. Other forms of inheritance that you can check on include one, specialization. Also, other than specialization, we have construction, and also combination, and also what? Combination. Okay. And also combination. So those are the forms of that. It is not types of inheritance, but forms of inheritance. Our next question now is question 7D, which says John would like to use a polymorphic class to determine the volume of cones and cylinders. Write a C++ program that he will use to do the following one. Define a class named 3D that has data members named radius and height, a parametric member function named set, which is used to initialize the value of radius and height, and a pure virtual function named volume. Then implement two derived classes from 3D named cone and cylinder, whose radius and height are 14 centimeters and 8 centimeters respectively. The program should then output the volume of the cone and cylinder. Use pi as 3.142 and pointers appropriately. Here you are being given a hint here that volume is equal to volume of cone is 1 over 3 pi r squared height, while volume of cylinder is pi r squared h. So this is 7 marks. This question is testing a lot. One, it is a combination of polymorphism and inheritance. It is implementing something called pure virtual function. You need to create a class, you need to create data members for that class. You need to show inheritance, that you need to show that the class cone and class cylinder are inheriting from the features or properties of the class 3D. So there's a lot here, and then you also need to use pointers. You will realize that when you go through the concept of inheritance, you realize that when members of the main class, members of the main class cannot be accessed by its object if it is an abstract class. This means that an abstract class is a class which has a pure virtual function defined in it. So if a class 3D has a pure virtual function defined in it, then all those members that are inside that class cannot be accessed by the object of class 3D, but they can only be accessed by a pointer created to access members of 3D. So that is why they are saying use pointers appropriately. So it has a lot. 7 marks is little for this question. I wish they could have added to 10. Okay, so now let us look at the program that I've created. First of all, I've created this is normal hash include iostream using namespace standard. Now I have created a class called 3D. That is what the question needs. Define a class named 3D that has data members named radius and height. So you realize that my class 3D has got public members which are int radius and height. So radius and height are of type integer. Then a parametric member function named set, which is used to initialize the value of radius and height. Let me stop from here first. Which is used to a parametric member function. So you need the member function here called set. So I can give it a return type void. So void set, it has two parameters. So we are going to use its parameters, and that is why they are calling it a parametric function. So a parametric member function, that means that a member function that has parameters in it. So we are giving it parameter r and h. So we are using this parametric member function to initialize the radius and height, so that radius is equals to r and height is equals to h. This initialization is done here because these members, these parameters r and h will be given values in the main function when we are calling that the function set to start working. So the function set, in the function set we will pass their values. So we are going to pass values to those parameters. So, that is passed by value or called by value. So r and h is going to be 14 and 8. So we can only give them those values when we are in the main function. Here we only declare variables and then assign. So therefore, if r is 14, then it means that radius is now equals to r, radius is equals to 14. So that is what it means. So this is a parametric function. It has parameters, or it has arguments, and it is being used to initialize radius and height. That is what the question says, that a parametric member function named set, which is used to initialize the value of radius and height. That is how you do it. You say void set int r int h. Okay, then next, and a pure virtual function named volume. What is a pure virtual function? A pure virtual function is a do-nothing function. It is a do-nothing function. It is a function usually declared with the word starting with the keyword virtual, then its data type, and then the name of the function, and it is usually assigned to 0. So it doesn't have a body, so it has not been defined. It has only been declared. To declare is just make it exist. To define is to give it a task. So its definition is going to be done inside these other two classes, which are derived classes. So inside the derived classes, that is where the same volume function is going to be defined. To be defined means it is going to be given tasks to perform. Okay, my computer is making noise. It has stayed for quite a number of days without being shut down. So let me hope it is not going to behave badly. Okay, you will bear with the noise. It looks like, let me halt a little bit so that I can see what the problem is. Okay, you'll bear with the noise because I cannot stop the video. So we have created a pure virtual function here. The next thing is that the question says we have implement two derived classes, so from 3D, named cone and cylinder, whose radius and height are 14 centimeter and 8 respectively. So radius and height is 14 and 8. The two derived classes are supposed to be cone. So I have a class cone inheriting public thread 3D. So that is what we call, it is a derived class because it is inheriting. And also it starts from here and ends here. Then I have another class. I can put this one to separate them. I have another class cylinder, which also inherits from 3D. So the work of these in these classes, this is a class cone to get the volume of a cone, and this is a class cylinder to get the volume of a cylinder. So here the virtual function is being now defined. So in a sense that the volume for cone is supposed to be returned using the formula that we have been given, which is 1/3, which is same as 0.3 pi r squared h. So it is supposed to be return 0.3 multiplied by pi, which is 3.14 times radius. So it is radius squared, so times radius again, times radius. Then for the volume of a cylinder, for volume of a cylinder, we have been told it's just pi r squared h. So it is pi r squared h, pi r squared. R squared is radius times radius, radius times radius, so pi r squared h. Then so that is the end of the two classes. Now we have been told to do what? We're going to initialize these values to 14 and 8, that is passing them, and then use pointers appropriately. So therefore, in the main function, I will create a pointer for the class 3D. I will not create its object but pointer, so I'm creating a pointer called DCN. So I'll create two pointers, or I will create one pointer DCN. So this DCN, now then from there you create an object for the class, for the derived class con, and then assign the pointer to store the memory of the object con, so that pointer can be used now to initialize or to call the function. So this is how we call the function using a pointer. We don't use the dot operator, we use the dash and this sign to call a function. So we assign 14 to 8 to the set to this function, and then we now call the volume function to work. We see out the result of the volume in relation to con. So therefore it will return 1 over 3, which is 0.3 pi radius height. Then again we create an object for the class cylinder. You can choose to create another pointer or use the same pointer and assign it to the object cy of the object cylinder, and then call the function using the pointer, and also call the function set using the pointer, and call the function volume. So when you run this one, let me just modify the code here and say that the volume of con. The volume of con is, then space for column, then this one, and then see out the volume of cylinder. The volume of cylinder is space, this one, then this, so that when I run, we can see the result here. The volume of con is 1477.06, while the volume of cylinder is 49.23. So that is it. So that is the code. Okay, you can carry the whole code and copy and put it here and say that this is 7D. Okay, I can remove this section and maximize this one and say that 7D is this. So yeah, so it cannot fit in there. What I can do is I can take some part of the code, cut it, and put it in a new slide. Put it in a new slide, and know that it is a continuation of the previous code. Okay, I think that one is okay. Now let us proceed to the next question, which is question 8. Question 8 A says outline 2 advantages of using files over simple data types in OOP. So advantages of using files over simple data types. So let me just highlight them. If advantages for you, the advantages of using files over data types. That is question 8 A. That is advantages of files over simple data types. Simple data types are like int, string, over simple data, these simple data types. So one of the advantages is that files can be created by computer tools like even Microsoft Word. So files can be created by computer tools like MS Word and even Notepad. So this makes it easy to you create an application that can work with my MS Word and even Notepad to create the text file, .doc file. Then files can be easily read or printed as compared to data stored in simple data types like integers and all those other things. So files can be easily read or printed. Then another thing is that files can store a program source code. Files can store a program source code. So when you are working with files, you can create a file that stores the entire code of your program. Then it can also store input and output data. Files can store both input and output, unlike simple data types. Okay, the next one is distinguish between virtual functions and overloaded function as used in C++ program. So distinguish between virtual functions. So this is a concept that comes from polymorphism. So what is a virtual function and what is an overloaded function? You see, from 7a we did a pure virtual function. So what is a virtual function? So let me create a new slide for 8b, which talks about virtual function and overloaded function. Next time you will find an overridden function or function overriding. So a virtual function is a member function. It is a member function of a base class that can be redefined by a derived class. Like for instance, in our code, other than this being a pure virtual function, by being assigned a 0, it is still a virtual function because we have used the word virtual there. So it is a virtual function which can be redefined. We are redefining it here. To redefine, I said it to give it a task. So we redefine it in this derived class con, and also redefine it in another class. So we give it two different functionalities using derived classes. But where is an overloaded function? An overloaded function is a member function. It is a member function of a class that performs different tasks within the class it was defined in, or it was declared in, or defined in. Within the class it was declared. In. So this is where we have a function but it is performing different tasks within the same class. There is no inheritance here. Virtual for virtual function, there must be inheritance. For virtual function, or for virtual function to be implemented, there must be inheritance. That means there must be a superclass, the base class, and derived class. But for overloading, for function overloading, since function overloading only happens in one class, function overloading happens in one class, hence no inheritance required. For its implementation. So we don't need inheritance to implement function overloading. So we just have two functions in the same class, but with the two functions have the same name and performing different tasks. Okay. Then next question is let us see. 8C Roman 1, explain two challenges of deploying object-oriented program or OOP in a company software. The challenges maybe of using OOP, or challenges of deploying OOP in a company software. This is a general question in relation to trends in using OOP today in life. So that is 8C Roman 1. That is challenges of deploying OOP in company. So one of the challenge is that the OOP application may not integrate. That is, I think I can say integration problem, so that we fetch the marks. So integration problem, and then we explain that the OOP application may fail to integrate with other technologies in the firm or in the company. That can be one challenge. Then another challenge can be that users in the company or company employees, lack of knowledge. People fear change, so lack of knowledge by company employees to manage OOP applications. That is to maybe use or modify the OOP application. So there are so many other challenges you can research and find. Let us proceed to 8C. It is important to undertake the integration. What I've just used to answer these other questions. It is important to undertake the integration stage for OOP projects. Explain the significance of this stage. So what is the importance of doing integration or integration test? So we normally do integration tests to ensure that to find out if our application can work with the current or if our modules are working together to give us to provide a good working system, and also if the application that we have developed can work with the with the current, or can be coupled together with the current systems working in a farm. So that is the importance of doing integration. Yeah, it is important to take the integration stage of for OOP projects. So I can create a new slide and call it 8C Roman 2 and say importance of integration importance of integration stage. Importance of integration stage. Integrate is to couple, yeah, to make things work together. So the importance one is to test if all software module, or they have all application modules are working together to achieve the desired functionality of the whole system. Then another one is to check if the developed system works well with the current, if it works well with the current system in use. Yeah, okay. Then that was 8. Then 8D is about writing a program. It is 8 marks. I think here they decided to give at least some good number of marks. So it says write a C++ program that uses a constructor to create 2 instances of a class named triangle. So the instances should be initialized as inst1. So instances, you know, an instance of a class is an object, so don't get confused. You know, this programming language, so it is not English language, so you need to understand this language very well. To create 2 instances of a class, this means you are creating objects of a class, because we normally define an object as what? As an instance of a class. Don't forget that. So I will start reading again. Write a C++ program that uses a constructor. You know what a constructor is. We have done a lot of constructors in this paper. To create 2 instances of a class named triangle. The instances should be initialized as instance 1, that is object 1, and instance 2 having values 2010 and 1612, where the first and second values represent the base and height respectively. The class should also contain a member function, a member function. You know, constructor is a member function, you need to note that. Then the class should also contain a member function for determining and outputting the area of the triangle. So there are 2 triangles here to be output, so therefore there is no inheritance here. So we even don't need a pointer. So what you're going to do, you're going to create a class of a class named triangle. You're going to create a constructor. You know, constructor is a special member function that has the same name as the class but doesn't have a return type, and it is used to initialize data members. Then we need to have a different member function for calculating the area of these 2 triangles, and then inside the main function we will create objects for the class triangle, and then pass the values, and yeah. So and maybe we may not okay, we will see. Let us create. So I will start a new file. I can save this one. I can save it as I can save the one that I had created for virtual function. Okay, I can save it as I'm saving it in desktop. Okay, that's virtual. Can save it as virtual function, pure virtual function, and then create a new file, new C++, and then of course hash include input output stream, hash include input output stream. Don't forget using namespace standard. Then we need to create our class. We have been told that the class is called triangle. A class called triangle. Remember that a class has a body. Now we've been told that we have that it is good to use an access specifier which is public to avoid errors unless you've been told. So if I have not been told to use a specific access specifier, I will always advise that you use public. So public will have a the data members being int. I think it is what base and height. Yeah? So int base and int height. Okay, int base and int height according to the question. So where the first and second values represent the base and height respectively. Then from there we will create the constructor. Constructor is a function. It is a special function that has the same name as that of the class but doesn't have a return type. So you don't say void or int triangle, just say triangle. It is a function and it has it is a function and therefore it has a body, and we are going to use a parameterized function, parameterized constructor. So this is a constructor. If I'm not, it is a constructor, and we are going to make it parameterized constructor, so that we can pass values to it. Parameterized constructor, and the parameters we're going to give it is int b for base and int h for height. And then so this is where we will do initialization, that base is equals to b. We are initializing, meaning that we're giving initial values to base and height, and also height is going to be equals to h. We are initializing because in the main function we will give the b to be maybe the values that have been given here, like 20 and 10. So therefore b becomes 20 and this one becomes 10. If b becomes 20, then base automatically becomes 20. So we will have achieved initializing this. We cannot do base is equals to 20 when we are inside the class. It is very wrong. We will get a very critical error. Okay, that is the end of the constructor. Then we have been told that there is a member function for doing what? For calculating. There is a member function for determining and outputting the area of the triangles. Yeah? So there is a member function. Have you been given the name of the member function? Member function for determining and outputting area. You can just call it area. So it is a normal member function. So it will have a return type. So you can call it a float area, and it is a function. And let me call it find area. And since it is a function, it has a body. So this function does calculation of and also output. So I can just go and output straight. Leave that see out. What you're seeing out is that the area of the two triangles. The area of the two triangles are the areas of the two triangles are base times area is a half base times height, so 0.5. sometimes 1 over 2 is refused. So when I want to say 1 over 2, it can give me an error. So I'll just say 0.5, which is a half times base times base, then times height. I updated this good spelling of the height that I had provided. Okay, end line. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now we can reduce the. Okay, that is good. So see how the area of the two triangles are 0.5 times base times height, and okay. Then now this is the end of the function. It is going to calculate and output the area. Or if you want, you can declare here area and then say area is equal to base times height, and then say that the area of the triangle is equal to, then you say area. It is still acceptable. So this is the end of the class. I will close with the semicolon, and from there I'll enter int main function. That is where the execution starts, and then I will I was given this one automatically, so I will after int main, it is not mandatory you have these parameters in the main function. Some of you will see them and then start fearing how will you remember them when you're writing the code. So int main, then I will create an object for the class triangle. So let's say triangle T, and then I say that triangle T, since this is a constructor, we don't call it using the T dot something, so we just say triangle T, then is equal to triangle, is equals to triangle. That is now I'm calling the constructor and the passing values there. The first set of values was 20 and 10, and then I can now call the function T dot find area. So this one will give me, I am expecting it to give me the area of the first set of values before I add the other one. So let me test first of all before we get an error. Okay, the area of the two triangles are 100. So let me just say the area of the triangle, and then so see how the area of the triangle, then we will do this. We will repeat the procedure for the second one, and then say that triangle. In fact, we were given the instances, so instance 1, we are told instance 1, so instance 1, that is the objects. Instance 1 find area, then triangle instance 2, so instance 2 is equals to triangle. This is calling a constructor and passing in the values. The values to be passed there is 16 and 12, so we do 16 and 12, and then we use that instance 2 dot find area, instance 2 dot find area. So we'll get two values there. The area of the triangle are 100 and the area of the triangle is 96. So let me zoom the output. So that you can see. So okay, so therefore that is the code that was needed. So I can do this, copy it and give it to you here under 8D. We'll scroll this. I can remove this one and enlarge this. Oh, come on. Enlarge it to there and say this is 8D, and then paste the code there. So if you can zoom in and zoom out, yeah, it is okay. So I think we have come to the last question. So this paper was a little bit hectic to those people who had not prepared very well, or they were not prepared very well. So if you are revising this paper here with me, what I can say is that if there is any topic in object-oriented programming or in any other programming language that you want me to take you through, I can take you through it slowly by slowly until you understand it, and I can get many questions from the many different past papers, be it 2022, 2021, 2019, 2018. We can take only the questions relating to the topic that you have requested. Then we do an online class or a physical class. If physical classes are available in Nairobi CBD, so if you are in Nairobi, you can come to CBD. You just call me through this number, and then we meet. And then I give you direction. You come to Roma House. That is where we do our physical classes. Then we can also organize for a virtual class or an online class. So thank you so much. Don't hesitate to subscribe to this channel so that you'll be getting many other videos. Ensure you subscribe. Just comment. You can comment. You have done an awesome job. You can comment. Can you do for us a topic? Can you do a video specifically for constructors and destructors? Can you do a video specifically for what functions in C programming language, so that you understand this concept very well. So thank you so much. Like, share the videos, and subscribe. Thank you.